there's this phrase, build a better mousetrap. If anybody like watches Shark Tank, they use that phrase all the time. Oh, you built a better mousetrap. Well, there was a better mousetrap built when it comes to mechanical or like hand crank can openers. And again, nobody cared. And nobody still cares. And here you are being like, hey, you should care about this. This is a better product. So tell us the story behind the creation of this can opener video.
Okay, well, so you can get what are usually marketed as safety can openers that rather than puncture the lid to open the can, they actually cut the seam of the can's lid. So the cut happens on the edge of the can, and basically there aren't any sharp edges from the cut. The face of the can is still probably, you don't want to shove your hand in there, but the lid's not going to hurt you. And quite honestly, I never tried one until a couple months before that video. I've known they existed. I referenced an episode of Everybody Loves Raymond that's been in my head where Deborah's like, she keeps telling him, but it doesn't have sharp edges. And what happened was, right, so I had gotten a can opener, which was terrible. I just, it was in my mind that can openers are all the same. I bought the $2 one, and oh boy, that was smart. So I needed another can opener, and somehow that video or that episode of Raymond stuck in my head, and I was like, there's a different kind of can opener. Let me look for that. And so then I found it, bought it, and was like, why are we not using these things? Why is this so obscure? And yeah, I turned it into a video because it was like, what else is there in the world that's been out for 20, 30 years, but just never got anywhere because people are like, well, it's a can opener. So,
well, that was my big question in general, because that's exactly what I thought of after I watched that video. I'm like, what else are we missing on? There could be better can openers in all kinds of ways, in kitchen gadgets or tools, or who knows that, I don't know, just nobody knows about. There's no technology connections video on it yet. So what's next? And what have I missed?
Yeah, I don't know. I would say in the kitchen category, induction stoves are probably about to have their moment. Although I keep hearing that like we're just way behind in the US and the rest of the world has embraced them. Citation needed, I guess. But it's probably the next big kitchen thing, because I think people are going to realize more and more as time goes on. Like I have a gas stove in my home, and it's just like, the more I use it, the more I'm like, why do people like this? This is like very primitive. And I think people like it because it's primitive, like, ooh, fire. Mm-hmm. But I have a CO2 monitor that I keep as a recommendation from the Twitter account, Swift on Security. And man, just making a meal causes the CO2 to go up by 500 or 600 parts per million. And it's like, why do we still do this? So anyway, that's kind of a bit of a tangent there, but I think induction stoves, once they get saturation, we're going to look back, because it's understandable that people don't like old-fashioned electric stoves, but induction's been around for, I think, 40 years, maybe. I think they first started coming out in the 80s, but they're just haven't gotten anywhere until quite recently.
Well, that's what happened with the air fryer, isn't it? That's old convection oven.
Just a convection,
and they just stuck it in like a little like countertop size pod, and all of a sudden it's like air fryer, bro.
That's on my list of things. It's been I need to make a video on air fryers, but I want to do some experimentations because I have a convection oven, and I want my personal theory is that the big thing about an air fryer is the basket. It's not the thing itself. And so I would just like to find some sort of wire basket that I can put in my convection oven and be like, how different is this? But it's all going to be subjective. So I haven't really put.
Yeah, I don't see why the results would be any different at all, provided that you'd be able to grab onto it and give it a shake, And so like putting something in there so like I use an air fryer a lot. I use it for practical reasons that like you talked about Twitter getting to you occasionally. That I'm kind of immune to it, but like twice a year, something really small makes me rage on Twitter. And last year, one of those things was people shitting on air fryers because they don't understand that not everybody has decent air conditioning in their house or any at all. And being able to have something that replaces turning the oven on when it is hot as Hades. The fact that you can cook something capably without generating very much heat in your kitchen is a tremendous asset in some houses in the summer. So, like, yeah, I get that it's not a miracle device in terms of replacing something that a lot of people have. It is that little convection oven. But there's some really practical benefits, like not having to cook nude because you'd be sweating to death if you had clothes on. So that's pretty handy.
Oh, sure. And like, I would imagine, I don't want to presuppose a conclusion, but I've been using toaster ovens for ages for the same reason. Mm-hmm. Is that there's no point turning on the oven unless I need something that large. So I can imagine if I do, because that's the thing, I'm going to need to engage with the magic of buying 2 of them, and I'll need to get whatever your prototypical air fryer is with the slide-in basket. But then I'd also like to compare it to one of the toaster oven air fryer hybrids. My mom and dad have one, and I've played around with it one time, and it has a much higher velocity fan than I think even my full-size convection oven. So I think there's a difference as far as it probably is doing a little more than your bog standard convection oven. But yeah, that's really what I want to parse out. And I would definitely be saying, like, there's reasons to have a small countertop oven. I love them, but I would go for a toaster oven before an air fryer. That would be my priority. So why not both in one device?